I'm here with Jeff in the Athenry Heritage Centre. Jeff, can you tell us something about the Athenry Mace and Seal?
Yes. Well, the Mace and Seal are basically symbols of the corporate power of the town of Athenry. Now, in the late 13th century, the town of Athenry was issued with a decree of corporation. And basically what that means is that the town came to be ruled by what would be today a town council, and the mayor. The council was made up of outstanding citizens and was ruled over by a mayor or a portreeve, who was also the clerk of the court, the local magistrate, that sort of thing. Now, the seal and the mace, as I say, are symbols of that corporate power. The seal itself would be used on documentation, land grants, that sort of thing. There is actually some evidence suggesting that the seal was in use by the 1340s, and so we date both the seal and the mace around the early middle of the 14th century, so the 1320s, 1330s, something like that. They're both cast out of brass. They have wooden handles. The mace, we believe, would have been used in court meetings, that sort of thing, as something of a gavel. You would use it to beat the desk, to shut people up, to get them to interrupt what they're saying, that sort of thing. As you can see, it is a strong symbol of power. It is in the form of a clenched fist, which is again symbolising this power, this ability to rule over the people. This would be used, as I say, by the portreeve, who was the clerk of the court, the local magistrate. The seal, as I say, would be used on official documentation, letters that would be coming out of Athenry, and we think that it is slightly earlier than the mace, so maybe 1320s, something like that. And the design on the seal itself probably refers to a famous battle that took place in Athenry, which was the Second Battle of Athenry in 1316, where a local Irish king, Phelim O'Connor, raised an army and attacked the town. And upon his defeat, Phelim and his main ally, a man called Tygo Kelly, had their heads removed and placed on spikes above one of the gates of the town. And if you look on the seal, then that is the design there, the two Irish heads placed above the gates of the town. Again, emphasising this power, the power of the corporate town of Athenry.
It's very interesting. I looked at the seal, and what you see there is a very stylised town gate. And I think at this period this was quite common. The gate in itself was a statement of power.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, the thing is that if this was made in the 1320s, we know that the walls of the town themselves probably didn't start to begin being built until the 1310s, something like that. There may not have even been particularly high gates at that time. So the symbol on the seal itself, as you say, is probably just a symbolised idea of the gates of the town, again emphasising this power. Gates were seen in medieval period as a symbol of the power of towns. So putting the gates on there, again, is emphasising the power of Athenry, the power of the corporation, that sort of thing.
And how common are these objects in Ireland?
Not common at all. There are a few floating around. We do believe that the mace, for example, is probably the oldest surviving example of a town mace in Ireland. The seal, although there are town seals from other places, the actual design on the seal with the heads and that sort of thing is very unique to the town of Athenry.
And where did you get them from? Like these, as you said, they're unique. How did you acquire them here for the Heritage Centre?
It's an interesting story actually, because these artefacts would have been used in the town right through until the middle of the 19th century, until around 1840, something like that. But in 1840, the town lost its corporate power. It was taken over by central government in Dublin, and the mace and seal were passed to the final portreeve of the town, a man called John Blakeney. He was the son of Theophilus Blakeney, who was the final member of Parliament elected by the burgesses and the portreeve of the town of Athenry. His son was the final portreeve. These were handed to him, and they sort of disappeared from public view for the next 60 or 70 years. And then in the late 19th century, there is an exhibition of the seal and the mace by the Society of the Antiquaries of Ireland, and in 1899 they have an article in their journal on the seal and the mace, and then again they disappear for the next 60 or 70 years. Then in 1963, they turn up again. They are brought to the National Museum in Dublin, and the owner is attempting to sell them to the museum. Now, unfortunately, the museum don't buy them at that time. But working at the museum at that point is a man called Etienne Wren. And Etienne Wren eventually became the Professor of Archaeology at the National University in Galway, and he settled here in Athenry, and he remembered the mace and the seal, and he was determined to try and get them back for the town. Now, when the castle was refurbished in 1993, he thought that that would be a suitable resting place for them. He contacted the owners who had brought the mace and seal to the museum in 1963, but unfortunately they had moved, so his letter was returned unopened, and eventually a local person, Tom Birmingham, who is a descendant of the founders of the town of Athenry, he decided to track down the owners of the mace and seal, and eventually he traced them down, he traced the family line down, and after a little bit of wrangling, they agreed to return the mace and seal to the town of Athenry, and it was presented to the town when the Athenry Heritage Centre opened in 1999, and they've been here ever since.
That's an amazing story. You know,
It
it really is.
is,
It always
yeah.
sums up the history of Athenry itself, that longevity of a place and
Exactly.
of its importance. But there's certainly very important objects to have here in the Heritage Centre, where you have a lot of visitors coming in.
Yeah, we do, yeah, and obviously these are a big draw, I mean, because we have a lot of exhibits and things like that, but these are probably the most important things that we have here in the centre. They're original, they've got, as you say, a very long history, they date back 700 years, and as I said, they are virtually unique to the island of Ireland, and some of the most important artefacts of their kind, actually, on the island of Ireland.
Well, thanks very much, Jeff. That was a wonderful story.